Okay, good morning everyone. Just to let you know, I'm just going to put a disclaimer on the screen now, so if everyone can just read that. This event will be recorded and it will go straight to YouTube Live as well, so if you'd like to not be recorded.
So, hi everybody, thanks for joining. Today is day one of Fashion Revolution Week, and this is the 4th year of Fashion Open Studio, which is an initiative run by Fashion Revolution, which aims to put the spotlight on the designers pushing the conversations around sustainability forwards. This is the first time that we've done this digitally, so you might have to slightly bear with us, but it should be all fine. We have 68 events this week from 50 designers around 12 countries around the world. So we've been doing a lot of logistics in the run up to this. Today is our Denim Day to open the week, and we have Mohsin Sajid kicking off, who's about to enlighten us with a little history and a tour of his studio in West Sussex. So I'm going to hand over to Mohsin because he has a lot to tell you, and hope you enjoy the day and the week. And if you have any questions or comments, just pop them in the chat and we'll keep an eye on them. Thanks a lot. Enjoy. Over to you, Mohsin.
Hi guys. Hello, everybody. My name is Mohsin. I'm a denim designer, and I've been a denim designer for nearly 20 years. And I'm going to give you a little tour of my studio and a little denim history lecture as well. Any questions throughout the hour-long session? Obviously, put them on the chat. It should be on your right. If there's anything else, I'll try and look at it throughout the actual session. If not, 10-15 minutes near the end, I'll do a little Q&A/chat, so it'll be quite fun. Anyway, so first of all, let's show you my studio. So basically, I used to have a really big studio in Whitechapel, but now I'm based in West Sussex. So I've got a little denim room, and it's quite insane. I've got more than 1,000 vintage samples here, as well as a crazy archive books as well, and then I've collected a lot of machines as well. I don't know if you can actually see. This first one's a darning machine, which is amazing. So it's a Singer 47W70. The next one's a Union Special 43200G. This one's the Rolls Royce, or the creme de la creme of hemming machines. But let me go downstairs as well. I've got a crazy room. The whole house is actually denim-fied. It's quite nuts. So we used to have a showroom, but we decided to up our game and actually come down here, and that's quite nice. I've got a staircase full of old denim banners as well. So my wife's wife sort of side here. So we do a lot of sampling, and we have a lot of people coming to our studio. A lot of designers come to us as well. This is my other room as well, which is quite nuts. We're building a big studio outside as well. This is I've got more than 25 vintage sort of machines, and you learn more about becoming a better designer when you understand. It's quite a lot of them are super duper rare. From this one here is a triple needle. It does a 3/16, and you know what that is. And I've learned everything in inches now. Obviously, I'm a British trained designer, but you can't be a good denim designer if you don't know your inches. That's a little thing. So let me show you a few samples, and if my wife's side can help me. Let's see if we can put this down here. We can redirect. So you can see. See. Okay. So this particular one here, I don't know if you can see it. I'm in the shadow, I think. So this one here is one of the earliest Levi's garments. It's from 1873. It's a reproduction from Levi's. And what's amazing about it is it's only got one pocket, hasn't got belt loops yet, and it's single needle tailored. It's got a curved waistband, which is unbelievable. And this is actually the one that started it all. So this is actually the one that had the first rivet, and I'll do a little tour of the actual garment. It's sort of in a bit. An amazing thing is, you know, it morphed as well. So all of these garments, oh, it's all very, very dark. This is actually one from the 20s now. And what's amazing, this is actually the one where this is just before the belt loop. So in like the 20s, and pretty much things haven't changed since this point here, which is quite amazing. So the only thing that's changed is that we've lost our cinch and it added belt loops, and you know the fit and everything has changed as well. But pretty much this is the actual foundation for all the jeans that we all wear now. But it all started in 1873 when Levi Strauss and Jacob Davis came up with this actual pair here, which is really, really fun. We can go. Early jeans, which you guys might know, might know, you might not know, were actually made out of duck canvas. So they weren't actually blue. They were kind of this kind of green color, which is quite fun. And also cotton as well is really interesting because it wasn't always white. So the early cottons that people used were actually slightly colored as well. So hence why it was a duck canvas, which is really fun. Brown, excuse me, brown. It's me and my color lines. What's superb is, once you learn, oh, I'm sorry the screen's going dark a lot. If you break in your own pair, you can learn so much about how things are washed. And that's what I actually do. I actually buy a lot of dirty jeans. I actually break down and I learn a lot from the pairs that I actually wear. And then what I do is I go to like factories and we make whisker patterns and laser patterns. So a lot of the garments that you might buy, they've probably started from an original, from like an original pair, which is really, really fun. So I do a lot of this work where I've got literally hundreds of these now, which is really, really fun. And if you can lift up the laptop side, I'm going to show you something there. Thank you very much. So in the dark here, there, put it down there. This is cool. In like sort of England, we actually have our own jeans. Our jeans were made in the war. Maybe we stand over there. Might be better.
Okay.
So bright. Having the first session is really fun. In like the UK, we actually had our own jeans. They were actually green. So, and these are also amazing too, if you can see. Yeah, no, that's all good. This particular one's from like the 40s, which is really, really fun. And it's amazing because it's actually made in England in like Derby. But the great thing is it's Selvage as well. And most things from this period were, which is really fun. And this like particular one's been like, this particular garment's been referenced quite a lot. Really good, really good. And then what's amazing also, this early period of actually jeans, there was a lot of really amazing brands that were doing really clever like stitching and also hiding things inside the waistband as well. Lots of single needle tailored details where the waistband's like really small. A mixture of single needle felled and chain stitch felled too. Quite remarkable. So anyway, so it's quite amazing. So this particular room obviously is where I make a lot of my own samples for my clients, and also we actually develop quite a lot of things here too. And I've got a lot of research in this room as well. But you learn a lot from actually buying lots of vintage garments, and that's what's quite amazing. So I'm going to go back upstairs now, and I'll start my little denim history tour. Do it this way so you guys can actually see the room. There you go. And you can't be a denim designer without having denim banners, and this is really, really fun. And one of my friends in Amsterdam, Jason like Denham, heavily inspired by that dude. He's got lots of amazing banners as well. So now I'm going to do a screen share. Hopefully it's going to work.
Turn off all the running programs, background running programs. Only keep the video.
Okay, hopefully you guys can all see this. So let's go through it. So this is me of course. Thank you very much, and welcome. That's my wife as well. Denim's really fascinating because it really did start with the actual rivet. Now, obviously, workwear, and people have been wearing workwear garments for like millennia, but actually, it really isn't. It's a really stupid tagline. It really is a riveting story, and it literally starts with these two chaps, Levi Strauss and Jacob Davis. Now, no one seems to remember poor old Jacob Davis, but he's the one who actually came up with the actual rivet. And this was like a like tailor, and he was basically he was a tailor, and he basically made garments for everyone, including a lot of miners, which is really fun. And basically, he had the idea of actually riveting garments like together, because he noticed a lot of the people that he made garments for, they were falling apart. So he was just a normal tailor, but he was actually thrown into the world. And basically, one of his suppliers was Levi Strauss, and Levi Strauss and Company. They were basically a dry goods company. So a bit like if you go to a camping shop now, you buy everything from the tents, from the ropes, to everything that you would need to go out camping, or something like that. He was basically like supplying all of the guys in like the gold rush period. And Jacob Davis had the idea of patenting the rivet, but he didn't have enough money. So he went to Levi Strauss, and Levi Strauss went halves with him, which is really fun. And this is actually a picture of that original patent, which is really fun. And this is actually the actual garment that I just showed a few minutes ago. And what's amazing about it is they actually put the date of the patent on the actual rivet. So it was May 20th, 1873. And they had the patent for about a 20-year period, up until about, up nearly about 1880 or something. So like that. So no other company could use rivets for this small period. So what's amazing is a lot of brands are actually coming up with amazing things during this period to counter it. And everyone always talks about how denim's amazing, like the golden era is from the 50s and like 60s. I honestly don't believe so. I actually think it's the magic period is from 1870 to about 1920. Because after that, it all becomes commercialized. A bit like that jean that I showed you from the 20s. That's pretty much the carbon footprint of every single jean that we all wear like today. So these are actually a set of miners, and they actually are wearing like Levi's jeans, which is quite amazing. And this is actually a very early example from the Harris collection. So there's an amazing guy called Michael Allen Harris. He's a denim archivist and like historian, and he's written a couple of books together with his wife. But he documents a lot of garments, and he goes down mines finding them, and he's actually found a lot of amazing things that even Levi's and those guys didn't even know existed. So there's quite a lot. And the reason is, I think it was 1904, it could have been, there was a massive earthquake in like San Fran, and Levi's lost their entire archive. So a bit like G-Star now and modern, even I do it myself in my own brand. I make something and I keep a copy of it, or I keep a reference of it. Levi's did the same thing, and those poor guys, they basically lost all of their heritage. They still don't know what the arcuette, the back pocket detail, actually comes from. It could be from an eagle, it could be from the bridge. They don't really know. So they lost a lot of like detail. So in about 1990-ish, Levi's actually hired a lady called Lynn Downey, and her job was to go and find a lot of the missing pieces for their archive. So now they got a superb archive, and they recreate a lot of garments as well. But this is one of the early examples. And if you notice very, very carefully, it's only got one back pocket. It's got a cinch back, hasn't got belt loops yet. The coin pocket is actually the fourth pocket. That's actually on top of the waistband. So the reason that it's actually got one back pocket is most people were right-handed, which is quite amazing. So this is actually a piece that he found down on mine. And what's amazing is, so after the whole gold rush period, denim itself, and now at this point, there's a lot of other denim brands on the scene. And you must understand, denim, it wasn't just, everyone thinks of like Levi's the whole time. There was like literally 20 other amazing denim brands. So it was like, there's Carhartt was like sort of like one of them. It was like Boss of the Road. It was Can't Bust Them. There were so many brands, and a lot of them, a bit like tech companies now, they all went bust. It was roughly during this period, the cowboy era period, really. And basically what it was, so a bit like tech companies now, all the other companies bought out all of the patents. So Lee and Wrangler and VF, they own a lot of these older brands. They don't do anything with them, which is quite sad. But it's just so. But there's a lot of denim brands that existed, but they no longer exist. But after this gold rush period, the cowboys were the first to adopt jeans, and basically what it was, they were the first to adopt it, because denim at this period, from the 20s and 30s, was pretty much workwear. You wouldn't be wearing denim like it is now. It wasn't a fashion garment, and it was only, you know, it literally was for miners, cowboys, fashion music. It's literally that famous phrase where it was actually through celebritism and early sort of celebritism, and also sort of the whole rebellious youth, really. So it was actually a lot of film guys, and a lot of people were seeing jeans on all the people that they liked, and it basically became extremely popular over a short sort of like period. And especially sort of like celebrities from like sort of like Marilyn Monroe, James Dean. But then that's when it became really, really cool. But then also there's a lot that's happened in that period where, you know, then you get the whole designer denim period in like this in 70s and 80s, and that's when things changed quite like considerably. Even the way how we make jeans, how we spin cotton. That's why denim from this period in the 80s looks completely different from even like the 60s period. And I'll go into that now. And then we get to the whole like denim like sort of renaissance. This is kind of the period that we're in now, where you got denim designers like myself who were like 20 years in, who know a lot about the past, who've collected a lot of vintage garments, but now we're basically learning more about the past, trying to recreate that old spirit again, even looking at the SBIs, the stitch per inches, and trying to do something really quite amazing, but also looking at the fits as well, and refinding a way how we spin cotton as well, back in the old way of making it. But then we can't talk about anything without talking about cotton. So cotton's quite amazing. Like even the t-shirts that we wear is pretty much the same process of how cotton is actually spun. And how cotton has been spun has been the main thing that's changed quite considerably, including the actual looms as well. And you know, there's so many like machines and processes involved with spinning that can change the outlook of the actual fabric. Even I met someone who's got really old carding machines. It's one of the earlier processes of when you actually start spinning cotton, when you form the actual bale itself. And this carding phase is super important. Every single process is like a dial in when you're making music, all the different levels. You can change literally how the fabric looks from every single process that you do. And I'm not going to go into the entire like sort of process, but cotton itself, you know, up until the 60s, you know, if you find any vintage garments, you'll see that the cotton is a lot more slubby. It's got debris in it. It's got bits in it. And what it is, this is actually a chart that I took in like the Lowell like textile museum when I was in the US. And if you notice, it's really quite dirty and it's got lots of debris in it. And then up until the end, it gets super duper white. We were actually processing cotton near somewhere like the middle. And also all of these processes that I just showed you, all of them were done by hand as well. So if you ever come across any vintage garments pre the 1940s, those garments were actually done by literally manual labor. Even I tried to lift up a bale of cotton, I only lifted it like 1 inch like off the floor. It's crazy, the processes. But then nowadays, like lots of denim designers and buyers and people who have got some kind of power, it's very important to know that, you know, we need to make sure that when we buy our cotton, we're making sure it's BCI. So cotton is really, it's like a murky world as well. There's lots of dodgy agreements. There's loads of people growing cotton. Some of it's not like regulated. There's a lot of this really terrible.
Laptop charger.
It's really important that when we look at cotton, we need to make sure that
For me?
So the BCI sort of like initiative is really important because they actually go around all of the main ginners around the world. They educate them. They make sure they're not wasting water. And cotton is a very thirsty plant. Also, denim itself, there's nearly every single process that makes a pair of jeans isn't really good. So, you know, in the last 20, 30 years, there's been a lot of push to try and make all the processes a lot more greener. So when it comes to cotton, we need to make sure that we're using BCI, or at least organic like cotton. Now, this is one of probably the most important slides I might be showing. It might be quite boring, but actually it's very, very quite amazing. Hopefully you guys get it. So all of those processes that I showed you, all of those like machines, there's actually two different ways. You might have heard of a type of cotton called ring or ring spun cotton. Whenever you see any denim heads, they go, oh, it has to be ring. They're talking about how it's been spun. So this slide here, if you see on the right here, there's two different kinds of cotton. There's many more, but actually ring spun is the old way. So it's a lot more slubbier. If you notice, it's like all the fibers are going up the yarn. It's a bit like when you grab hair and you try and pull it. It's very, very strong. But the open end that was invented in like the 70s and 80s, that was a result of actually them having bigger looms, and they wanted to make things more faster. So they tried to make a more uniform yarn. This yarn is a lot more weaker because it's going around it, so you can actually snap it. That's why when you get jeans from the 80s, you know, they're not that hard wearing. You know, you sit on the floor, you're doing any manual work, you get massive holes in it, it starts like ripping, all because it's open end. And if you go to the slide a little bit on the left here, on the right in the middle, open end, the process of spinning is a lot more cheaper. You don't need much of those big like sort of machines, to the point where you can save millions of pounds by having an open end factory rather than a ring spun factory. Anyway, a bit boring, but very, very, very important. Now, this is a slide from Michael Allen Harris. Now, cotton itself has changed quite considerably, a bit like our food. We like genetically modify it. So this is a picture of a jean from 1910. It's pretty much impossible now to recreate this jean. Yes, you can engineer the fabric. You can sit on an amazing loom. You get fabric technicians who will try and spin it in the old way as possible. But it's all because the cotton has been genetically modified so much. It's very hard to get to that older strain. So there's a lot of work going on that we do and I do, where we're trying to find older strains to try and work with. So it's quite fun. Now, weaves. Now, denim itself is a 3x1 right-hand twill. Hopefully, some of you might know that. If you don't know that, basically what it is, it's going to be, denim is made of warp and weft, and the weft part is white. It's where the bobbin or the shuttle is. And basically, if you look here, let's go to the one. It should be, yeah. If you go to in the middle, in the middle on the right, there's a picture that shows you there's 3 and then there's 1. So that's how you get the twill line. And early jeans, up until the 1930s, were all 2x1. So they were much more lighter construction. And one of the reasons they did this weird construction is because it's basically to save money. So they figured out a way of having indigo on only 70% of the actual fabric. And they didn't want, they had white weft. So basically your legs don't go as blue as they should do. So it's mainly just being really clever engineering. So our denim is a 3x1 right-hand twill, which is right in the middle on the left. Probably 95% of denim is actually like that. Now, you can't talk about many mills. Obviously, we've got Isko who are here, and Isko are unbelievable. One of the most forward-thinking denim mills especially in like Turkey. They're like humongous. But we can't talk about denim production without talking about cone mills. They were one of the earliest founders. Half of the technologies that we use now in the denim world were invented by these guys. And their white oak mill closed a few years ago, and they were going to go in like 40 or 50 selvage looms left in like America. Very, very sad. But anyway, so talking about patterns as well, pattern and identity is really amazing. Like up until the 1800s, everything was patterns. And this is actually one of the oldest garments that they found. It was on like a mummy, and it was a pattern jacquard, which is quite amazing. So there's lots of evidence of pattern, and it's going this way kind of like again. But in the denim world, there's mainly 3 or 4 different type patterns that we mainly use. We use a right-hand twill, we use a left-hand twill, and most people might recognize the zigzag pattern of a broken twill or herringbone, really. They're the ones that we use, but there's many more. And also you can see a picture here of an actual one fiber that's been cut, and you can see how much of the indigo has been actually penetrated. That's actually the ring dyeing method of when you dye yarn as well. So that's the reason why jeans fade, is because the core of the yarn is still white. And they did that also to save money. So what they do is it's in a massive machine that's the size of my house, and it goes in, all the yarns get dipped, and they come back out again, and they dry them, and they dip them, they dry them, they dip them, and dry them. And most denims dip probably 9, 10 times. In like Japan, they dip it more than 20 times. So it's quite aggressive. So yeah, but anything goes now, and it's a really amazing moment. If any of you go to any kind of trade shows, or you see really quite advanced fashion brands, some of them are slowly going away from the right-hand twill. They're going a lot more adventurous, from needle punching to really slubby effects to literally hand loom effects as well. But denim itself is made in many countries, and it's mostly made in like countries that have free trade agreements. This is quite a crazy thing I'm going to say, but you know, if you go to like sort of Wikipedia, it's like China, India, Turkey, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. They're the biggest producers of denim. Yes, that's true. But some of the best denim is actually made in like Japan, Italy as well. Some of the smaller countries, but I'm not saying none of these countries don't make great denim. You get amazing denim from Turkey. You get amazing denim from Pakistan. You get amazing denim in China. It's all about the designers, the engineers, and they can all do it. But obviously, these 5 countries at the top, they have agreements with European nations, and you know that's why, you know, the moment you know, the likes of Arcadia and that, they're only going to Pakistan and Bangladesh because we have free trade agreements right now. The moment that changes, they'll be going like somewhere else. So that's one of the sad things about it. This is a picture of a vintage shuttle loom. So the one on the bottom left, I took it. I didn't steal it from the internet. And what's amazing about it is, obviously, up until the 70s, everything was like selvage. And selvage is just the old way of making like fabrics. It was really narrow, roughly less than a meter wide. So you needed a lot of fabric, about 3 meters, to make a pair of jeans. And up until the 70s, you know, people were still using these old looms, and they're very difficult to use. Even if you look at the picture from Cone Mills, there literally was a person, like a technician or worker on every other machine. If you go to any major factory now, there might be only a couple of people for every maybe, you know, there's not that many workers working in like sort of factories now. A lot more things are automated. These machines here, you needed someone to always load up the bobbin literally every 10 or like 15 minutes. So that's why they were there, to load up all the shuttles. And yeah, it's quite remarkable. And these fabrics were amazing because they had lots of slubby effects, they had lots of imperfections. And when it came to the 70s and they started to, you know, all these factories were getting quite old, and they're like, okay, we're gonna buy a new set of looms. Then they said, you know what, let's get a loom that's more wider. We can make more fabric from it. And that was a result of the whole open end thing. So that's what happened there. So a way of advancement actually made denim a lot more weaker. It lost a lot of its lost a lot of its characteristics. And as our Japanese friends were the ones that actually went and basically refound denim again and educated the world, really. And then we were all using our designer denims and open end fabrics, which we didn't care about. Is actually our Japanese friends that went and converted their old kimono looms, and they started making selvage denim again. It's only until the mid-90s where people started realizing, wow, this denim from Japan is amazing. Oh wow, it's made on selvage looms. So quite a fascinating story. There's another picture as well from Cone. So yeah, briefly touched on it as well. So you can easily find out if a denim garment's selvage by just checking on like the inside of it. So the quickest way is to check the side seam. The side seams are normally straight, and if it's got selvage, it's most likely done on a vintage loom. You can get modern looms from the 80s as well, like piccolo looms, which are more than fine. But most of the time, you find overlocking. That's an indication. It doesn't mean it's not good denim. There's amazing denims that are made on these newer looms as well. And this is a brief little glimpse of lay plans. You know, some of you might have seen them before, but if you use any kind of selvage fabric, most of the time you'll need about 3 meters or so for a selvage pan. If you've gone a non-selvage, so one that's 150 wide, you can get away with like 1.2, but you can also slip in some other things as well. And that's what a lot of fast fashion brands do. They mix other styles in, other fits. They try and maximize and like sort of tight the actual lay plan. But what's quite alarming is now and a lot of denim brands do it. I'm not going to name any names. I might do if I get pushed. They use a lot of fake selvage. So this is actually done on a modern loom, and it's called a tuck-in selvage, and actually kind of splice it. If you can, there's a splice about 1 centimeter away from the side. A lot of brands, I'm going to name them now: Topshop, Arcadia, Jack Jones, you name it. They all do it. They all use this, and they say it's done on a vintage loom. It's not. It's completely fake. Anyway, so denim weights as well. You get much more heavier weights, of course, on light weights. Back in the day, everyone always thinks that it was really heavy. It wasn't. Up until the 50s, it was more up to about 10 or 12 ounce. And now that's considered like a medium weight now. But nowadays, the heaviest weight denim that's been produced so far is a 40 ounce that Naked and Famous have done. They've got the world record. I did a 38 ounce a few years ago. I had the record for maybe a month, which is really funny. But I know Kurabo mills in like Japan have made it at 50. It's like a race to the heaviest. It's really quite alarming. To be honest, personally, anything over 18 is like, if you're planning to have kids, don't even try it. So it's pretty funny. So we just touched on this guy. His name's Michael Allen Harris, an amazing denim like historian. You can find him on. He's got an amazing blog as well. But you can buy his books. He's got 2 books out, or 3 books, I believe. This one you can find on Amazon. Well worth buying. He finds old garments, finds the old patents. Unbelievable. And this is actually one of the jackets that he actually found. So this is a triple pleated blouse from 1874. And it's remarkable because these earlier garments, they're tailored. It's really considered. It's got tiny stitching, SBIs. The pleats are really amazing. You know, many people didn't even knew that this garment even like existed until he found it. Obviously, there's records, but not the actual physical garment. Now Levi's actually own this particular one. They recreated it for their archive, which they always do. So this is a like a one-to-one like recreation. And Miles Johnson, a good friend of ours, he worked at Levi's at the time. He's one of the ones who actually actioned this, which was really fun. This is actually the Type 1. It's a very famous jacket. It's one of the earliest trucker sort of jackets. This is the one that everyone thought it actually began with. It didn't. It began a lot more earlier with like this one here. And then we get the Type 2. This one's quite interesting because the differences between the Type 1 and Type 2 aren't that major. It's the fit as well. Obviously, the Type 1's got one pocket, slightly more boxy. It's got cinch back. The Type 2 has no longer a cinch. It's actually got side adjusters on it. It's got 2 pockets. It's a little bit more fitted now. But the interesting thing is, even in the 50s period, you know, Levi's and these other companies, it was all about making money. It's all about mass market. You know, the reason they added these side adjusters, and I learned this when I was as a younger designer, is really just, you know, if you put side adjusters on a garment, you can class it as like a shirt. So for duty rates, you can ship it much more cheaper. So they were already thinking about that. This is a Type 3, which this is one that I kind of like grew up with. It's got the pleats down the middle. It's a lot more fitted. If you notice, this particular one's skewed slightly. That's all because the cotton's been spun. Actually, that's why things skew. That's just quite fun. That's why like Wrangler started using a broken twill, because they didn't want that skewing effect. And then, you know, just talk about Indigo just a little bit. Indigo is quite like remarkable because it comes from a plant, but all the indigo that we use nowadays, 99.9% of all the garments that are made are not made from natural indigo. They're made from a petrochemical. And, you know, just like cotton, it's a super thirsty plant. Indigo and, you know, chemical sort of indigo, it comes from poisonous like substances like benzene. It's made from oil. So, you know, and it's been a big thing recently to try and find a solution not to use chemical indigo. Obviously, natural indigo is amazing, but, you know, and there's lots of cultures and countries that still use it. If you go to Thailand, India, Pakistan, anywhere in the East, they still use a lot of natural indigo, but it's only in a small production. You need to have a football field to make a small block or small cake. And that really isn't sustainable. So the solution is to try and go away from chemical indigo and go more into natural. So now an amazing company has just come up with a new way of making bacteria. So they've actually made a bacteria from natural indigo, and they're making it into a more production way. So hopefully in the next few years, we'll be going away more into more of a bacterial indigo base, which is going to be amazing. But natural indigo is amazing. You can learn so much from it, and the colors from it are unbelievable. If any of you get a chance to do any kind of natural indigo workshops, do it. It's unbelievable. I flew someone over from Mali in Africa to do a natural indigo workshop with us, and it was unbelievable. The best thing that we ever did, and we learned so much about it as well, and it was amazing. But, you know, garments and how things are made, it's super. You know, you look at workwear and there's always characteristics that make it work or workwear. This particular slide is quite funny. because it shows you, like, if you, this particular thing is called a misstitch. You might see little mistakes in denim jeans and in workwear. These are super important, and we as denim designers always try and put a tiny mistake in somewhere, like sort of like intentionally. This is actually done because it's a twin needle like machine, and the inside like needle is actually stays in the same place, hence where you get that misstitch, which is really fun. But let's just talk briefly about what a jean is. So some people have, you know, let's just bring everyone up to the same page. So, you know, on a jean, you have a coin pocket, you have like rivets, you have a safety stitch goes down the side, you've got side seams as well, you've got a run and felled seams or twisted busted seams in like middle, you've got belt loops, back yoke, so the back part that gives it shape, that's a shaped seam. In Levi's red collection in 1999, they put darts in there, which is really, really fun. So you can do many things, but, you know, you've got fly stitches, bar tacks, front rise, back rise. These are the main characteristics, but these early details have changed quite considerably. Like everything up until the 1920s, it was always morphing and changing. And that's why I always say, looking at this earlier period, even between 1876 to 1877, a lot changed. You know, this is another early like Levi's jean. It's got an early tool pocket for the hammer. It's unbelievable, you know. So a lot changed. And obviously, when it got finalized, roughly in like the 20s, when it became a lot more mass market, a lot of these details came off. And then, as I said, the early period is so fascinating as well. This is a jean as well, you know, and another one that Michael Allen Harrison probably Britt Eaton found. But a good jean is, you know, you can learn a lot. And jeans nowadays they look the same, right? So every brand looks practically the same. So the way that a lot of brands, you know, keep themselves apart is by either the back pocket stitch or the arcuette or the leather patch or whatever. It's kind of like real estate. And the best brands, and I always tell this to all the students that I teach. I teach a lot in like 4 different like sort of unis. The best pockets are the ones that you don't notice. So the like Levi's is the Diesels, Lee, Wranglers. They've achieved it by keeping it really simple. The moment you throw on loads of crap, you're compensating for something else, really. But then also yokes as well. Many people don't know this, but a good, you know, a pair of jeans, there is a masculine and a feminine way of doing a yoke, and Levi's do it the masculine way. So the body goes over and the yoke goes under. But there's brands like Edwin, Lee, Wrangler. Some of these brands actually they do it the feminine way. And you know, I remember speaking to my creative director at the time, like Edwin. I worked at Edwin for a short period. And I asked him, why is it that we do a feminine yoke? And he goes, oh, because we didn't want to copy Levi's, which I thought was a bit silly at the time. But anyway, but then you can also coin pockets. This is quite fun. You know, a good denim brand, you know, like everyone always just copies the Levi's one, which is amazing. But to be honest, I always tell designers and students, just come up with something like creative on the coin pocket. Don't just copy Levi's. Look at Diesel. They came up with doing that angled pocket with their branding on. You know it's a Diesel jean because that's how it's cut. So it's amazing. So you don't forget about the coin sort of pocket. Each jean, you might not know, is made with about 5 or different thicknesses of thread. People just think it's one thickness. It's really not. There's many different sort of thicknesses, and you learn this when you start making products. Because I remember when I made my first ever jean, I was so happy with it, but it didn't look right. And the moment you start using thicker stitches in certain areas, it's more 3D. It brings it to life. That goes with the thread color as well. Everyone always seems to think that, oh, it should be tobacco. Actually, there's early evidence. Actually, the early jeans weren't tobacco. They were using ecru or white color or cream color. Nowadays, it's known as ecru because of the big three use a lot of different shades of ecru. But actually, I always, whenever I get any kind of fabric, I always run loads of colors through it to check which color I actually like. It's quite fun. And then colors as well. Nowadays, when you make jeans, then they're not raw. So you can actually now work with YKK and a lot of other trim manufacturers and design in your own colors, and it's quite fun. That's a lot of work that I actually do too. The inside of the jeans super important. It's kind of like real estate, I actually say. You can't. There's no point having it blank. So just make a rubber stamp it inside. All the brands that I've worked for, I've always filled out the inside of my jean, telling that story. It's quite important. And this is a friend of ours called Marcus Morland, ex Levi's designer, a real amazing denim designer. He works at All Saints, works at loads of brands. This is a little brand that he did himself, and he made 100 pairs of jeans with company called Warehouse in like Japan, not Warehouse the high street, Warehouse Japan, an unbelievable authentic denim brand. But he hand branded every single jean. I think it was like 100 pairs made, I believe. And I happen to have a number 7, which I'm so thankful that I managed to find. But then the leather patch itself is super important. You know, every brand has one now, and a lot of people get quite fancy about it, and I get quite angry with me, going, you shouldn't be using leather. You need to be more eco or vegan. Sure, you know, even Levi's themselves used a like cotton version on their 201 jean, which is their more slightly cheaper like variant. So lots of denim brands do it, but don't forget about the leather patch. Wrangler are amazing because they also feature other branding around their leather patch, which I think is quite amazing. They always do it. This is a picture of one of the earliest like Levi's jeans from their archive. This is actually their like Nevada jean. This particular one is actually made with natural indigo. So up until 1897, it could have been. That's when a German scientist actually came up with the chemical version. So for the first like 20 or 30 years, Levi's themselves used natural indigo, and they bought their indigo from the Indus Valley region, which is Pakistan. So, you know, so it's quite amazing. There's always lots of like discussions where, oh, my jean is 100% made in America, or my jean doesn't really happen. You know, all the components nowadays are shipped from everywhere else. Even like Black Horse Lane in like London, they make amazing products, and I worked with them for 4 years. They get all their trims from Turkey, so it's very difficult to get all your components from one area. So it's very hard to do. Of course, you can do it, but as I said, this is an early example of an amazing jean made with natural indigo. Again, this one's amazing. It's got one back pocket. It's got the little tool pocket. It's got the cinch in between the waistband. Unbelievable color and shade. Superb. But we can't talk about jeans without talking about the environmental impact of how jeans are made, and this is literally happening everywhere. Like everywhere they make jeans, you know, it's environments like this. And I travel quite a lot all around China. Anywhere where they make jeans, I actually go and work, and there's a lot of these things that I see, and it's quite sad. And but there's, you know, and every single process that we do, like obviously no one really wears jeans that are raw, and so you know, every jeans that are practically sold are being rinsed or washed or broken in already. So the stone washing process is quite terrible because it uses obviously pumice stones, but the sludge from it afterwards, they have to pay a company to take the sludge away, and the sludge, nothing can grow in a sludge. It's environmental hazard. So all the areas that they make jeans or they wash jeans, the environment is absolutely terrible, not just for the workers, but for the whole area where the factory is. And then also there's PP spray, which is another kind of a bleach, kind of like a potassium permanganate bleach. This is something that's still used. It's not banned yet. And every jean that you would buy most likely has been sprayed with a PP spray. So, and this is something that's like carcinogenic. The guy's wearing a gas mask, for God's sake, when he's doing it. So it can't be good. And a lot of these things, they're not washed that well. And a lot of these chemicals are still on the jeans. It's terrible. But then a lot of the work that I do is I create washing treatments for clients. So how do I do that in a more sustainable way? So in the last few years, I've been working a lot with a lot of amazing companies. One in particular called like sort of like Tencel, and doing a lot of stuff with like sort of like Gene Lodger, and got some great companies like sort of like Tornello. There's loads of companies that are trying to do washing treatments in a more sustainable way, because people still want wash jeans. That's the problem. And the process of how you wash jeans is still not good. So what are the solutions here? What are the ways of making jeans that are more better? And you know, it's a terrible thing. This is enzyme washing. This is actually something that's considered a bit more environmentally friendly, but you know, is it really? It's still a lot of chemicals. It makes it softer. You get a lot of clients like sort of Tesco's and Primark, a lot of enzyme here, and like tinting as well. I create a lot of 3D treatments as well. I do a lot of things by hand, bit like in like woodwork class. I look at real garments and I look at how the wear patterns are. But then, you know, what's amazing, what's happening is also is there's companies now that are creating laser patterns, and they're creating more sustainable finishes. Hopefully I'll put the slide in this presentation. But it's amazing that you can create all these treatments by using just a glass of water, not just, you know, not just 20,000 or it's like 2,000 gallons or so to wash. It's insane amount of water is used to actually wash jeans as well. But one of the main problems that people don't talk about is polyester. Now, most jeans that you guys wear, and this is not just jeans, this is sportswear as well, is made from polyester. And polyester is the new evil, the new cancer that we're just touching on now. And this is a polyester, a microfiber that they found. And they found polyester in like mushrooms. It's airborne. You know, every single person living has a credit card size amount of plastic inside them. All the fish that we eat has polyester in it. It's insane. So, you know, and you know, there should be a tag like this on every single garment, you know, warning, this garment contains 100% polyester fiber, which is a like derivative of crude oil, sheds microplastic when like machine washed, is harmful when swallowed. Of course, no one's going to put this tag on it, but it should actually be there. But what are the alternatives? Obviously, we touched on like Tencel. Tencel are amazing. They get a company that make lots of different fibers, but actually the parent company like sort of Lensing does. But Tencel or like Lyocell is superb. There's companies like Candiani Denim who've just made their like ITMA awarded fabric. It's got them, you know, every 5 years they have this show, and they basically made a fabric that had Tencel like Lyocell in it. It's the most advanced fabric that's ever been made. It was made with Tencel. You're not using any virgin cotton at all. We get hibiscus, we have feathers, we have silk, we have hemp. Hemp has come a long way as well. Since the 80s, up until the 80s, hemp everyone regarded it kind of like linen. It was very difficult to spin, but now they come up with a new cottonized hemp since the 80s, and that's now it's become a lot more fashionable. A lot more people are jumping on hemp. They're realizing you don't need as much water to grow it. It's super good for the environment. It's got antibacterial properties, and it kind of looks like the old kind of hemp, old kind of cotton, really slubby and really authentic. So hemp's like another one to actually watch. These are the two companies, and there's many more that are doing wonders in the denim world. We got our friends like sort of in like Italy called like Tornello, and in Spain like Genealogia. Like they're competitors, but they're friends. I'm friends with both of them. But basically, Tornello are known for their like machines and their big machines, but now they also do laser too, and like Genealogia also are known for the laser machines and all of their advancements. But now they're also known for their eco washers as well. So they're two competitors, both doing amazing things. If you ever buy your jeans and they've been sustainably washed, most likely it's been done by one or two of these companies or their machines. So it's quite amazing. And there's lots of other chemical companies as well, so all the different dyes, and there's now aniline free. There's so many other people, but these are the two that are very, very, very important. Laser finishing, I was nearly touched on it. So back in 2002, I was one of the first designers back to work with a laser machine. This is for Levi's like Japan. This is when Levi's Europe and America weren't that interested in using laser at that time. It was very, very expensive, and there's only Levi's Japan were very keen on it. I happened to be working at Okini at the time as a London-based like collective, and they were up for it. They said, "Yeah, let's do it." So we did our first laser collection with Levi's Japan. We sent these garments off to the Levi's archive as well. So they got pieces of all of these. Not many of them are made, only about 100 or so. And that's kind of me and my presentation. Obviously, you can follow me on Mohsin Sajid, at Endrime and at Denim History, my educational work, and 74 MMA. So let's just see. Let me stop sharing now. Let's see if there's been any chats, any questions. Let's see if you have a chance, please. Oh, dude, you know, we can't even talk about this. We can't even say, this event wouldn't have been happening if it wasn't for our friends at like Isko. And Isko are amazing. Actually, they helped me at the very beginning of my career. I've been using their fabrics for ages, but they also help sponsor a lot of the educational work that we actually do. They have their own iSchool as well. They're at the forefront of education, which is amazing. But you know, there's such amazing denim brands and denim companies, but they're one of the more sustainably led ones as well. Have any of you guys got any questions? Or Tamsin, do you want to jump in and ask me any questions in the last like 10 minutes? Oh, we got some questions here. Are you optimistic about the innovation of sustainable denim? Oh man, you know, I've become a much more better designer since I've been using Tencel, Lyocell, and thinking more sustainably. Like I hold my hand up in the air. I was using every worst chemical there was. You know, I've been a denim designer for nearly 20 years. In the last 3 or 4 years, I've been now pushing myself, and it's become a new way of designing, really. It's like a race to make the most sustainable jean, and it's really fun to a point where it's like, you know, using like literally half a glass of water to make an entire jean. unbelievable. And that's what's cool. And every few months, even there's loads of events from Kingpins to Denim PV, there's loads of big trade shows. I go to all of the like sustainable talks, and you've got to be an educator of denim and a denim design, you need to know what's going on. But all of these mills, all the chemical companies, they're all doing amazing things. It's just all up to the buyers of these companies and the actual designers to make sure that they use some of these technologies when they're designing. So yeah, Tamsin, have you got any sort of questions?
Yeah, no, I love the bit where you were talking about mining denim.
Yeah.
We have a hashtag at Fashion Revolution, which is love clothes last.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be just, you know, the absolute pinnacle of how clothes will stand the test of time.
I've learned so much about vintage garments. You know, it's like I've learned more from, I went to a like recycling plant in Pakistan, maybe about 2 or 3 months ago before COVID. And I was picking up vintage garments that were from the 30s that they were about to shred to make recycled cotton. So I learned so much about vintage garments, about how things are washed and about thread colors. And it's really amazing. Of course, buying vintage and buying like recycled is super important now. Like, you know, I don't remember the last time I actually bought anything. That's the honest truth. So yeah, buy old stuff, learn from it, design new stuff, do it in a more sustainable way, work with cool mills, and yeah, anyway, but yeah.
I have a question, Mohsin. That was really good, by the way. Really,
yeah, you know, it's only a snapshot. You know, I do 7-hour versions of this presentation. 7 hours.
Amazing.
Yeah, you know, it's and I do them at colleges from LCF to RCA to everywhere, and you know, it's really quite fun. But I'm very happy to share it.
As someone who's not a denim expert myself at all, I learned loads. That was great.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
good. That's good.
One thing I found quite interesting was you were talking about the cotton plant and how it's been genetically modified so much over the years, and that some people are trying to get back to that original strain of cotton. Yeah. How do they do that?
Basically, you know, actually, it's an interesting story. So in like America, they had an LS cotton. Their cotton is quite short, staple, and what they did is they actually genetically modified it with an Egyptian cotton, and they called it Supima cotton or superior cotton. And it's quite an American story, really. But it's always been there. People have been genetically modifying things to get the best yield out of it. Obviously, the cotton that we grow now, especially the one that BCI and his companies they're happy about, because it doesn't use much water. You know, you can control it a lot more. So that's why they did it, because the yields were really strange. So they had to genetically modify it to come to a strain that it could work in Pakistan, it could work anywhere, and you know, the rest of it. But the race to always find a more authentic cotton has happened only since the 90s. You know, up until the 90s, us in the West didn't really care. We were happy with the open end stuff. Was you know, we were quite happy. We didn't even know. It was only our Japanese friends when they started to make denim in like the early 90s, and they went to America, they went to Cone and lots of factories, and they said, hey, can we buy this old denim? And they go, we don't even have the looms, we don't even have the cotton anymore to do it. So the Japanese were the ones that have been just, they're a bit like with their music and fashion, everything, they're passionate and they learn about it, and they educated the world really about what good denim is. So yeah, the race is always trying to find that slubby denim, but then how to make a denim, you know, most people don't like slubby fabrics. They like things that are silky and smooth. So there's room also for silk denim. There's room, you know, hence why Tencel was there. It's very luxurious. But now Tencel and those companies, they're trying to make denim, their own denim lines, more slubbier and more authentic. So because not everyone wants to wear something that's super silky. So it's going more authentic, but it's a race now to make the most sustainable jean, but everyone's doing it. So we're all winning, really, because every couple of months there's a new innovation, from foam dyeing to everything. So it's amazing.
Mohsin, we have a couple of questions from our viewers on YouTube.
Yeah.
Brian E. Strange is asking, can you recommend any hidden gems in UK or Europe to find vintage denim pieces? We want to know your secrets.
Okay, there's a couple of cool people in like Europe. There's a French dude called Brut Archive. He's in Paris, an amazing vintage like collector. Of course, obviously you have the vintage showroom in the UK. There's a couple of amazing shops in like
Where's the vintage showroom in UK?
Vintage showroom. I got a shop in Carnaby. Sorry, in like sort of Covent Garden. They have a showroom as well in West Sussex that you can visit. It's on like East London as well. Sorry, West London. Sorry, my wife's actually correcting me. Okay. But there's many more. To be honest, you know, even there's so Instagram's superb. You know, so to a point literally hashtag vintage denim or denim history or whatever, you get so much that pops up. And I've made so many friends in the US, and there's loads of artisan designers just like me, and we're all very friendly, and we share our machine like knowledge. And I said, you can't be a denim designer without knowing your machines or knowing how to pattern cut. And, you know, it's one of the benefits of coming from a British school. I learned so much. You meet all these other designers, and they just concentrated on making shirts or jersey their whole entire career. And I'm like, dude, you should have just been multitasking the whole time. But,
we'd also like some advice, Mohsin, on shopping for sustainable denim, especially on a budget.
On a budget. Okay. It depends what your budget is. You know, thing is, some of these sustainable practices, you know, if you get a jean that's been sustainably washed on a Jean Logi or like Tornello machine, or it's been ozone finished, it's still not pricey, but it can be. That's why you get some denim jeans that are £200, £180. That's kind of the price. Yes, you can get it. I know some of the high street are doing a lot of these things as well. I don't know. There's a lot of brands in like the US, a lot more of the LA brands that have actually been consciously and telling people about what they're doing. In the UK, in Europe, we don't often know how the jean has been finished. You know, and I'm sure a lot of the stuff.
In LA?
Who in LA? There's a brand called Triarchisar. There's another one. Boyish is another brand which is quite amazing.
Yeah.
DL 1969. My wife's actually helping me here. There's many that are all doing it, and the thing is, it's the ones that are talking about it. You know, and there's another like an Australian brand called Outland Denim, which my friend Claire sort of designs for. And there's a lot of artisan brands, younger brands that are opting these technologies first. And you'll see in the high street soon there will be tags saying it's been ozone finished or it's been done on a laser machine. No water has touched this garment. And even to the fact where it's going to be blockchain. So when you buy a garment, you'll have a tag on it, and you'll be able to find out where the cotton came from and how far away where it was spun and how far away it was made. These technologies are all there, and a lot of these bigger brands are starting to adopt them. Even when I was at VF and I was at Timberland, there was already a barcode system in place where you can actually find out where your garment was actually made. That was VF 8 years ago, whatever it was. So,
do you think that the price tag of a pair of jeans has been skewed by some brands who are selling them incredibly cheaply? Have we lost track of what a pair of jeans should
completely? You know, cotton itself is very, it should be considered premium, and it's not. You know, the fact that I go to Pakistan or Bangladesh, only these developing countries, and I shake hands with another cotton guy, or go, oh, I've got a new mill, and I'm like, oh, dude, why are you another guy making cotton? You know, it's thing is, it should be as a premium product. We actually sell our jeans at a loss, to be honest. All these mills that make it should be deemed as a premium product. You know, I've always said that high street shouldn't have been allowed to sell jeans. They shouldn't be allowed to use virgin cotton at all. It should be banned for them. They should only be using recycled. This is high street. So people like Primark and those companies out overnight would not be allowed to use virgin cotton. So that's only a good thing. But that kind of like legislation is not going to ever happen. So because there's too much money involved, governments get money from all the duties. It's all a bit murky. But but yeah.
Mohsin, we're going to have to wrap up there. I can't bear it. But I'm sure everybody can get in touch with you via your Instagram handle.
Yeah. Instagram. I'm at Denim History. I'm at Mohsin Sajid. Endrime as well. I have a couple of different ones, but Denim History one's my education one. I teach a lot of the RCA. I'm doing a PhD course quite soon with lots of people. So in the world of denim education, and we can't mention our friends like sort of Kingpins and like sort of like Transformers, like Foundation, and like Lensing. There's loads of amazing companies that are supporting fashion students, including Isko, including loads of people. So it's really amazing that the mills and everyone are supporting. But thank you so much for involving me, and thank you so much for letting me open your week. I was very honored.
Thank you, Mohsin. Thank you for showing us your amazing collection. It was fascinating. And we're going to wrap up this session now. I just want to give a massive big thank you to Isko Denim for making today possible. You'll be able to see Mohsin later on at 4 o'clock. He'll be joining us for a panel discussion where we're going to be talking more about the future of denim. So come back and you'll be able to see him then. And yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining.
Thank you so much, guys. Cheers.